perhaps we might see our first Byzantine game here of the day. But let's get into this. This is game number 1 of the EGC Finals group stage between TheMista and LoueMT. And it's a classic matchup of the English versus Rus. Both these players need to come out with a win in this series if they wish to move on to the quarterfinals. Marine Lord, of course, securing that #1 seed here in this group stage. So this can be a very, very, very important matchup for TheMista and Louis.
Indeed, but it's also as simple as it gets. You win the set, you are in the playoffs. So really, your fate is in your hands, which is not entirely applicable for every single player in the group stage anymore. Some of the players actually in certain groups will be sitting on the sideline watching series and hoping that the outcome of those series will favor them when it comes to final placements within the group. So it's actually very comfortable for both of these players that they just have to win the set, no matter the score. It's just a straight win that takes you to the playoffs.
Yep, and of course, when you're playing against the Rus, as we've seen before, your goal is to try to kill some of these deer that are out on the map. Try to deny some of this bounty. At least you can try. TheMista only going with 1 scout. Sometimes you'll see 2 scouts in some of the matchups, though he has to kind of get lucky finding his 2 deer patches quickly before Louis is able to get him. As you see, he's already got 2 of the deer. And where is now? Hold on a sec. Okay, I see where they spawned up on the top side. Both of Louis are, I guess, on the north. It's kind of interesting there, but they're going to be working on that bounty.
You know, one thing that's interesting with this map, in particular, Cliffside, is that neither of these civilizations that we are seeing over here are the primary go-to civilizations of players when it comes to this map. Usually we see a lot of Malians, Jeanne d'Arc, some Jushi even, but forget everything. Ignore everything. It doesn't matter. All that matters is Mista whopping out that 10 out of 10 creativity score. He's going to open with the Abbey of the Kings.
The Abbey of the Kings, formerly known, or maybe sometimes still known, as the Abbey of the Memes. This will give him access to the king. The English king will be out on the field, and it provides some healing capabilities and means that Mista's probably going to be opening with Horsemen, I would expect, and playing rather aggressively. At least that's what you typically see paired. Of course, up against the Kremlin, which is one of the best defensive landmarks as far as the feudal age goes. So going to be a hard position to try to hit some raids. Maybe he's anticipating a second TC out of the Rus, which they're known to do quite frequently. And his goal is just to get that king over there, try to deny it. But often you'll also see this, harassment with maybe even an age up behind it. But Mista, he is definitely has no shortage of creativity. I actually see him, it looks like, on the stone right now. So I think he might be doing a 2 TC behind this harassment.
I think this is going to be one of the biggest tests of LoueMT's career. And we talked about this prior to the set for a brief moment. He is still in this rising star status. He's yet to start playing against the biggest names in the biggest tournaments consistently. And this is the first time that he ever gets to play Mista in a tournament. And I feel like you just have to go through that Mista experience once or twice, where you get the craziest build orders from your opponent. Completely unexpected creative stuff from Mista. Sometimes it works wonders, sometimes it's a complete blunder. But one thing is sure, one thing that LoueMT will have to be very cautious about in this series is unexpected things happening from Mista's side. Talk about an Abbey of Kings opening here in game number 1.
Yep. This is also a map where you spawn a little closer to your enemy's TC than you typically do on other maps, so it makes raiding quite possible. And look at that, he scouts it. He sees stone. He knows Louis is going for a second TC expansion. I'm not entirely sure if Louis has scouted that second stone, that he's gathering stone, but he's about to if he hasn't already.
He actually is going to play a second TC, but so does Mista. And here's the mindset behind this. LoueMT needs to make a stable to make a knight here. That's a big investment he doesn't want to make. Mista doesn't need this. He made this landmark specifically for this one unit to limit where Louis can place his TC at. This is all about the king, and the king limiting the positioning of this second town center from Louis, as compared to Mista, who will have all the freedom in the world to place his TC at.
Yep, and that's exactly what we're going to see here. Everybody bow to your king. He moves in. Mista gonna force his villagers off a stone. Not before they got enough for that second town center, but he's going to be placing that rather defensively there on the goal. He's also got a Kremlin protecting that. Maybe this is where he wanted to put it all along.
I would be surprised if this was the spot by design. Usually when you play extra TCs, you deplete your food quickly. So you want to expand towards additional sources of food. A boar, a pack of deer, or at the very least berries. The problem here for LoueMT is that he isn't going to have a lot of food to work with inside his base. Now he can still, of course, expand once he starts adding army. But I feel like just securing that gold spot with the town center is something suboptimal for him. It's not the same case for Mista, though, because Mista with the English wants to make an early farm transition. So for Mista, securing extra deer packs or berries is way less relevant.
I see some disrespect coming down in the chat. They're saying the king is only a budget Joan of Arc. I will tell you, his family has led the English for generations and generations. He is out here just as much got a name to the throne here. And look at this, trying to go for a raid. And look at that, just tanking lots of arrows. All of his training has led to this point.
Yeah, I feel like these people must have missed the Battle of Agincourt.
Too soon, too soon. Okay, so we've got Mista on his second TC there between the wood and not far from the deer if he wants to go for it. A scout kind of overwatching what's going on there for the moment. And both players is kind of getting their eco boom going on. And he's setting, look at those beautiful farms in between the English like to do. That's actually a nice little spot to nestle those farms in.
Yeah, Mista is going to play heavily into the knights here. That's the follow-up. Right now he's building up a farming eco because he needs a consistent source of food. But that means that once that farming eco is set up, he's going to be able to spam knights for a long, long time. And because he does have the Abbey, even in Castle Age, he's going to be able to pull back the injured knights to heal them back up.
Yep. Okay, so we see Mista going to farming, what he does best, right? We know, of course, he's going to be farming here. Louis going for a lot of gold, a lot of food. We do see that stable, but it does kind of seem like maybe he's thinking about heading up towards the Castle Age. And we even see Mista add some farm or some walls in the middle.
I love those walls. I feel like you gotta play it safe and cautious, especially when you're investing so heavily into the farms, and especially when Louis is rushing up Castle Age, and this is actually a good response. He's actually bringing the militias to try and prevent the walls from coming up. He's body blocking the walls with the scout. In fact, he is going to prevent at least a portion of the wall from being constructed. But more importantly, he is going to be on the way to Castle Age, and that gives him a massive head start when it comes to collecting relics.
Yep. So Castle Age going to be coming in shortly for Louis. And meanwhile, Gremlin's just adding a little bit of harassment there, but stopping the wall for now. And look at that, 1, 2, 3 stables. It looks like he is going to be spamming out knights. We've seen this before out of the roost. And that's why he wants to keep that wall down, because he doesn't want anything to stop his flow of knights across the battlefield.
You know, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to continuously produce knights from triple stables upon hitting Castle Age. I don't think 40 villagers is enough to facilitate that. It's also a little slow going into Castle Age, only 8 villagers on that landmark. But for now, he's going to be okay. And Mista's yet to scout his opponent aging up to Castle Age. Mista himself is working towards Castle, though. Big difference is that Mista does have a steady source of food with the farming eco, whereas for LoueMT, you see he doesn't have a lot of safe food to work with anymore.
Yep, and you see Mista continues to try to finish these walls. I think he knows something is on the way. Knights take that down. And for now, Louis trying to keep those walls down, almost aged up, just over halfway there. Oh, look at, he's also grabbing his ranged armor so that those knights can survive diving under town centers. But just as you mentioned, Lidakor, trying to afford 3 stables of knight production, going to be very, very challenging. Especially with, he hasn't been out on deer. I mean, typically maybe he's used to running the strategy when he's on a boar or on deer or something. He's under his town center still, and hasn't been able to take advantage of those natural resources.
There's a bigger problem with the triple stables. his opponent is aging up with the white tower, which is notorious for being able to pop out in armies very quickly. And here's the thing. When you're so heavily committed to knights, Mista can quickly react using the white tower and crossbows. So there you are with 3 stables, which cannot produce a unit that really works against what Mista has. Of course, you could play horsemen in theory, but Mista can respond to that with spearmen very quickly. I feel like when your opponent has such a quick reaction potential with the white tower, such a heavy commitment to any kind of unit early game is actually something that's a little problematic.
Mista's just going for landmarks that trains units for him. He doesn't want to build any military reduction buildings.
That's actually very true.
Okay, so we've got Castle Age for both players right now. The English, a lot of villagers on gold I saw back there in his base. And there we go. Louis going for the boar. We mentioned this. It's like he needs to get on some of these natural resources. He needs to take advantage of that bounty. It's such a big eco thing. Down goes the king. F's in chat. The king has fallen, but he'll be back probably for more. But he's got to actually pay for it. It doesn't get him back instantly. Kind of crazy. Maybe it is a budget Joan of Arc, huh? After all.
Looks like Mista's gonna play heavily into the knights. Right now, he only has 2 of those knights out there compared to the 6 from Louis. But Mista's build-up is going to be a little bit more rapid. And also, he does have the network of Castle Zora to buff the attack power of his knights. So as long as he's defending, he doesn't need as many knights as Louis has.
Okay, so Mista just chilling around his base. Louis kind of keeping him contained. He's out on the boar, so that's good for his economy. Both players having the same exact villager count for now. So we'll kind of see how this military strategy works out. We see Louis currently grabbing Boyar's Fortitude, so going to be upgrading those knights as he's training more and more. He's also got a warrior monk running around grabbing relics. So I think Louis is just going to keep pressuring this gold and keep pressuring this gold. And we see he's just camping out on those deer for now, waiting to charge and charge again and charge again. Here we go. There's the king. The king has returned to have no fear. Of course, there's succession. There's always somebody else coming up. So I don't know which king that is now, but we got knights on the other side picking off some villagers. And with that, Louis is up on the villager count for now.
What's more important is that he's up on the relic count. Mista has been confined into his own base over here. Louis is going to lose his scout, but these knights have managed to contain Mista for quite some time. So Louis is now picking up the 3rd relic on this map, despite the fact that Mista also committed to a monastery and some monks.
Apparently Louis was doing some long distance boar gathering there for some time. He forgot to build his hunting cabin, so nothing to see here. No, nothing to worry about. See, we covered for him. And he's getting through it. Okay, so grabbing those relics. So he's got 3 relics already secured. So there's the 4th. So Mista seeing the map control. But I've got a feeling that Mista is common calculated right now there in his base. But with the English, they don't need a ton of map. Maybe just get the next gold expansion. It'll be good for a while.
You know, what's alarming for Louis is that he just ran out of gold. This is the window where Mista could punish. And don't forget, Mista's food eco is well set up. Whereas for Louis, he will need to make a farm transition at some point. But what's more alarming for Louis is that he needs to expand towards a neutral gold mine, and that's something that Mista could exploit. For now, the knight numbers are even though, and it's actually Louis who's more effective with these raids. Once again, swooping in, might get another monk for himself. Looks like this hero knight is just going to sacrifice himself to save the others.
And down he goes, Louis, diving in there and getting villager kills. Oh, almost gets it. You know, miraculously, only 1 villager has died with all of this raiding that's gone on. I kind of thought he got more, but Mista's been able to keep those villas alive under immense night raids.
Yeah, it's deceiving though, right? Because at the same time, he's able to secure 4 relics. So as much as he wasn't able to kill villagers, he has at least distracted Mista such that he's able to set himself up for the long run with these relics. Now, boar villagers have been found over here, and at the very least, they will be idled out. But now with wars coming up for Louis, Mista's options to raid will start shrinking.
Actually see that he's upgrading his spearmen right now. So Mista going to start trading some spears to defend against these knights a little bit, and we got raids, you know, popping off across the map. A second monastery being built right now, but able to get some villagers, and now he has 4 relics. Will he get all 5? No, it looks like Mista got 1 of the relics.
Yeah, one out of 5 is not really good for Mista. He will have some passive gold from the farms, of course, in Imperial as the English, but it's still kind of just the silver lining, I guess. Him having to forfeit 4 relics for Louis is just not really good. Granted, he does have a great food eco, 1400 food per minute as compared to 600 from Louis, and Mista's banking up a lot of food here. Makes me wonder what exactly he's planning with that.
Yeah, it kind of looked for a moment like he was getting ready for Imperial Age. It still kind of looks like that, but you see him training some more units for now, but it does feel like he's preparing to go up to the Imperial Age here soon. We see Louis dropping down some walls with a lot of villagers at that. Might lose some vills. There we go. A little bit of a raid there. Mista getting into those walls. Not fast enough.
Yeah, Mista has been a lot more effective with these raids. Managed to kill 6 villagers as opposed to just 1 kill on the opposing side from Louis. And now Mista is stacking very heavily into Spearmen, and he's concealing this. He's not showing any of the Spearmen just yet for Louis, so Louis might not even realize what he's facing until those arrive on the battlefield. Louis only has knights on the battlefield right now.
Yep, and still getting closer to the Imperial Age, but not quite there for Mista, and now he's got his Spearmen accompany those knights, and Louis bringing his knights mid along with the warrior monks. Going to take a first big engagement we've kind of had here this game. The king, though, supporting Mista on the other side. Louis going to back off. And right now...
Given how close Mista's base is, I would love to see a forward tower from him. I feel like Network of Castles is a bonus that he could leverage when the 2 players are so close to each other. And it would make the defense even more so difficult for Louis. And you can see at the edge of the screen, Louis is just now making a farm transition. That's a position of vulnerability, and this sets Mista up for a very good option for a counterattack here.
I mean, heck, he could even drop a keep landmark, like right on his wood line or something crazy if he wanted to.
I think he wants to. He's piling up resources for Imperial. I think he wants to drop the Berkshire Palace in the face of the enemy.
But doesn't want to lose his army before trying to do this, but I can't tell where this fight's going right now. We got spears in there. We got Kremlin gremlins. Down goes the king once again. Deaths on both sides. We'll see who remains here when the dust settles. There's even, look at that, a monk there healing.
Oh man, I mean, Saint's Blessing is something that Mista doesn't have a response to right now. And I feel like many of his spears have been fighting the enemy militia, so he wasn't really able to get a lot of damage done with the spears on the enemy knights. He managed to clear up a lot of knights inside his base, but he wasn't really able to force a decisive engagement. And despite the fact that he damaged many of the knights from Louis, all of those will be healed back up. And now, I feel like Louis is well set up. This was a wonderful defense, though Mista is going to age up to Imperial no matter what.
Yeah, I don't know about that forward keep anymore, though. Maybe he tries to put it on one of these goals. I kind of feel like he wants to get some map, you would think, with a landmark if he goes for it. There you go, Berkshire Palace coming down, and it looks like he's just building it right on the front of his farm. So going to be just doubling down on defending the front of his base and kind of that gap into his economy.
Yeah, good luck pushing through that choke point there. Berkshire Palace, White Tower nearby. That's just impossible to break through. You really gotta wonder if Mista actually considered dropping that landmark in the face of the enemy had he won that previous engagement. I feel like that was the plan. The timing just lined up so perfectly for it. Yet, it looks like he might have been a little overzealous with that fight.
Yep, and it looks at this, Louis. Oh, he's just building a tower. I thought he might be pushing here, so it's kind of good. He doesn't want him to. He charged in right now. I think Mista would actually be in a little bit of trouble. But look at this. We got some night raids going on. More villagers going down. And there we go. Mista reaches the Imperial Age. Let's see how Louis reacts. Really can't push forward into this now that there's... Look at that landmark. Jeez. It's crazy.
That range is insane on the Berkshire Palace. And that's why it's so good when it comes to controlling choke points like that.
Yeah, I get nothing makes me more triggered than when I'm in a game and that landmark shows up somewhere near my resources. It's like, oh my gosh, like, how many traps am I need to kill this thing?
Now listen up. The Rus have their own keep style landmark for Imperial, but looks like Louis is going to opt for the alternative. he's going for a high armory, so no Spaskaya tower today for us in this set.
I feel like it's a little, I mean, you typically see here, but like a little risky. He's got so many of his landmarks forward. If he starts to lose any map control, I mean, some English trebuchets could end this game.
That's a fair point, indeed. Landmark snipe is kind of an option here.
They're all right there.
Yeah, it's kind of an option for Mista. Technically, even for Louis on the other side, Mista's landmarks are also very much clumped up on the front. But I don't think that's going to be relevant anytime in the foreseeable future. What is going to be relevant, though, is that now with the Imperial Age in for Mista, he gets some passive gold income for his farms.
Yep, we do see our first trebuchet starting to work on those static defenses of Louis. Both players in H4, and an upgrade that's really going to help Louis. He was able to get 4 relics, and right now he is getting that upgrade, so they will have additional resources coming in. That's going to be really massive here into the later stage of the game. There it is.
Tithe Barnes coming in here for Louis. He's sitting on 4 relics. Also has a sacred site under his control, which I just love. He has that part of the map under his control. Mista is not contesting it. So he's leveraging that to the fullest extent by taking the sacred site as well.
Springgold moving up, trying to get a shot, but as you see, Berkshire says no. Kills it. Oh my god.
Mista's creeping up with towers as well. Mista's army is very one-dimensional. I think that's an understatement even. 44 spearmen, handful of hand cannoneers. On the opposing side, Louis has been hiding a lot of archers. And this is a tricky setup here, folks, because this cliff is blocking a lot of vision. So oftentimes, you are deprived of information from the opposing player. And this is why, you know, Mista is committing so heavily into spears, despite the fact that his opponent already has a lot of archers.
Yep. Okay, so got walls completed to the south side. We've got, what are those? Spears? Yeah, mostly spears. And getting his upgrade. Yep, going to be getting more English upgrades. He's just taking his time, slowly going to creep. And I do wonder if we get some trebs in here, if we could start to see some real damage. He spotted where Louis is gathering gold. It does appear. And going to be going after that with the hand cannoneers and the... Just going to shoot over the walls. He might not even try to break them down. I'll just go back to mid. And this is a nice kind of like a cliff highway to get back to mid if he needs to. His army is not too far away, forcing Louis into a different position for now.
Yeah, this feels like a diversion here, as Mista is really embracing that pike and shot doctrine of the late medieval times. Spearmen and hand cannoneers exclusively. Now, he's placing a lot of archers and some mangonels, so I have the gut feeling that this composition for Mista is just going to be a complete flop. Army value double for LoueMT over here. A lot of premium units, those being knights, but also Streltsy, horsemen, archers deal with the spearmen, mangonels as well. It just feels like a lot better composition here for Louis.
I see Mista getting his roller shutter triggers, so he's going to be making Springalds to defend. I think he kind of knows mangonels are on the way. You see Louis upgrading his mangonels, so it's going to be an important part of these engagements. It's going to be this siege war. Who's able to do it better? Louis having some premium units there with the knights. We do have hand cannoneers, of course. Able to hold on this engagement here on the south side, just trying to defend that gold expansion. He's even picking up Ironclad for his man-arms. I almost wondered if he wouldn't make man-arms when you just got to assume there's a lot of Streltsy coming out for the roost. But it looks like he's still going to make some.
Again, I feel like he just doesn't really have the vision on the exact composition that Louis has. So he's making a couple of units that are just hard countered by the existing composition of Louis. Actually,
see it, yeah.
Yeah, he sees a lot of that thanks to the towers.
Oh, here comes
and he
the
does have
snipe.
the high ground here, allows him to snipe out this mangonel with the Springolds.
Don't try it, Louis. I have the high ground. Down it goes. He does lose a Springald. But like having Springolds left doesn't matter when you don't have the mangonel to defend. With this
That's
big
dirty.
raid.
That is dirty out there. Quick sweep from the cavalry, and Mista had to rush up a lot of stone walls here. He had a bunch of gold miners in that position. He had to scramble for some stone walls, sacrifice the villagers, so his gold mine doesn't get completely annihilated.
Yeah, look at the villager raid counts on the bottom left of the screen. You see 25 versus 12. So that's pretty significant. We do see Louis sitting on 200 population, Mista just below that. So you get to a stage of the game where it's like, okay, unit composition is going to be what's most important because you got both players can't train a whole lot else for right now, so they've got to make sure they've split their army up appropriately to take
the
these
breakthrough.
engagements.
Stonewalls were late, and now Louis is going to keep that opening open. This could be catastrophic for Mista. His army is slow to catch this, and now his eco is under attack.
Yep, he's got plenty of food in the bank for now. But yeah, certainly this horseman being quite annoying. He has spears too, but oh man, look at this too. Louis has been unrelenting with the raids. Horseman gonna kill his villagers, and look at that little wall segment. He's able to stop the stone walls from going up, and there we have it. Louis gonna be trying to attack on the south side, but realize, okay, that keeps gonna keep shooting at me. It's gonna back up. You can see Streltsy able to deal with man-arms quite easily in these engagements. And this is going to get a little scrappy here. We've got a horseman flooding in right now. Louis also going to be adding a wooden fortress here towards the front.
Yeah, I feel like that fight in the middle was just a diversion by Louis. He straight up said, look, I'm going to take this engagement so you're paying attention here. And while you're doing so, I will get a foothold on your side of the map with that opening to the north, and that's exactly what he did. Now, as you said, Mista had a lot of resources in the bank, so all the villagers he lost got immediately replaced by army. Mista is up to 92 troops on the field.
Yeah, I just saw Mista also upgraded his gunpowder. I guess that's for his hand cannoneers, because he's got, what, 27 of those bad boys. Of course, we got the unique unit, the Streltsy, on the other side for the Rus horsemen continuing to go in here, but spearmen have showed up to defend the farmers. And one thing Mista takes very, very seriously is defending his farms. And look at that once again. Keep kills a Springald. I'm sorry. I just got to say it. I don't know how they're out here nerfing Triumph and this landmark sniping Springalds from across the map. I just don't understand it personally. It's crazy. Crazy.
Mista down to 89 eco here. Only one relic on his side. At the same time, Louis is sitting on 4 relics and also 2 sacred sites. The only sacred site that is not under his control is the one directly in the middle. Mista now has to deal with this opening here to try and get it revolved. I'm actually wondering where Louis is going to strike from, though. Because here's the problem. The Berkshire Pass is locking down the middle, so he cannot push through there. But the moment he shifts to another flank, Mista can just march into his base through the middle.
Yep. And that's a lot of hand cannoneers. He's got him upgraded. He's also getting all of his other... I mean, Louis has a lot of his upgrades as well. I mean, that extra gold certainly helping the bank of the Rus. And kind of feels like they're both like poking and prodding, but no one's taking like a decisive fight on either front. We've got like little raids here and there. We've got Keep and Tower Wars. I mean, some villagers going down here for Louis, but he's already at Pop Max. Maybe he doesn't mind losing a few of these villagers. I mean, it just is what it is for right now.
It's a bit of a kamikaze mining there. It's just like, okay, I need the gold. Might as well be willing to lose a couple of villagers.
Okay, so we've got Mista with like what, like a few spears, and I mean, that really was the composition's been. It's spears and hand cannoneers. He's got 4 man-arms and some Springals to defend him, but that's mostly going to be it. Louis having more of a cav-centric army with knights, horsemen, and then he's got the Streltsy with him as well. But we'll see where these villagers go. Mista expanding down to the south side. Army sitting rather idle there in the middle. Just kind of keeping, I guess, that siege at bay from any type of run-bys that could happen.
This is like calm before the storm, essentially. Mista piling up a lot of hand cannoneers and spearmen. On the other side, Louis is now going heavy into the horsemen, plus some knights as well. Knight poleaxes on the way even for him. Now, both of the players are now stacking up a lot of resources here, and this is turning kind of into positional warfare, where you just try to place your key defensive buildings, wooden fortresses, castles, such that you deny resources from the opponent and secure additional resources for yourself. Especially gold, which is starting to become a rare commodity.
I noticed both players really don't have a whole lot. Well, hold on a second. I see some rams in queue. I was going to say, don't really have any siege to take down buildings. They've got the standing army, but like they're kind of stalled out here because they can't push into keeps. They can't push into keep landmarks. But some rams, not to mention Rus rams getting ready. Maybe that could start to change this.
Yeah, LoueMT definitely wants to break the stalemate, though. honestly, he's not the player that has to. He's the one sitting on 4 relics and 2 sacred sites. If anyone, it's Mista who has to break this stalemate. Especially because LoueMT does have a neutral market under his control that's like fairly safe to the south. The one that Mista has to the northwest
Movement
is
mid.
kind of borderline, to be honest. We've actually seen a lot of aggression here from Louis, and he was successful breaking through these walls once before.
Okay, so Louis says, that's enough of you
Let's
sitting
roll.
back. Here comes the Rams. Of course, going to be fighting under heavy, heavy, heavy defensive gunpowder. And let's see how this goes. Lots of mangonels. We've got the whole army of Louis flooding into the base along with the Rams, but the Rams got some time till they reach striking distance. Springald, he was able to snipe him off with the Horseman. That's going to be massive.
It is gigantic. It means that the Mangonels don't really have a counterpart. The Berkshire Palace has to focus them down. But here come the Rams, and the army of Mista is just getting absolutely annihilated here. Stralzi firing from the back line. When the Mangonels line up for a volley, these hand cannoneers just have to fall back, and Mista might be losing this position here.
Man, this was a hell of a push by Louis. Oh my gosh, those mangonel shots right now and those hand cannoneers, those are very expensive units to be losing to mangonel volleys. He's trying to spread out, he's trying to dodge them, but down goes the landmark. It has fallen. You thought from that distance it would never go down, but he's with one foul swoop. Look at that. One fight, GG, get out of here. And Louis takes game number 1, able to overwhelm Mista in just one decisive blow. Seemed to have had the perfect unit composition. And yeah, Roost Rams, no joke when it comes to taking out buildings.
You know, I feel like I was just watching a boxing game, to be honest. For a long time, these guys have been just poking around, seeing if they can find any openings, little body blows. But then, in comes Louis and just knocks out his opponent with one punch. That's exactly what we saw over here. So an opportunity to flood through the middle. And Mista had a great unit composition, but he was extremely reliant on the Springolds, making sure that he isn't going to have to fight the Mangonels.
Yeah.
And Louis was willing to throw away all his cavalry just to get rid of the Springolds. He was able to take them out, and once the Springolds were gone, Mista's hand cannoneers just got annihilated by those Mangonels.
I'm a little surprised he wasn't able to keep his spearmen. He had so many spearmen in position to protect the Springolds. It kind of feels like Mista was not ready for that. Like that was just like suddenly, boom, here comes this whole freaking army across mid. I mean, on a map like that where both your bases are so close together, you know, typically maybe you've got scouting time, intel, you know something's coming, you can get in position for fight, but it was like, here they come, they're in your main base. If you lose this fight, forced to take that, and very, very well played by Louis. Gonna put him up in this series. Welcome everybody who's maybe just tuned in with us here today. This is the EGC Finals, the greatest of all AoE4 esports. And this is the group stage leading up to the quarterfinals that'll be coming up here tomorrow. You got a whole weekend of Age of Empires esports action. And this series right now, you can see Louis is up, but here are those group stages. If you're wondering, we've got group A, B, C, and D, different players in each of those. Let me know what your favorite group to see here today. Lidakor, you want to run us through some of these?
Indeed, right now we're looking at Group A here, folks. LoueMT and Mista both losing to Marine Lord, standing at 0-1. The winner of this series will secure the second place in the group. Marine Lord has already taken the first one, and the game differential will simply not matter. This is essentially direct elimination with the winner going into the playoffs. Group B, it's already done and dusted. Poppy Paul winning his set against Recon, meaning that he is the one at the top of the group. Lucifron is going to be second place in Group B. Later on today, we will take a look at Wham vs Anatend, a series that will decide whether Beastie or Wham will secure the first place in the group. Anatend, he's fighting for survival, and he needs to win his series in a dominant fashion to survive the group stage and secure the second spot. Last but not least, a very stacked group, Demu, Vortex, B. Vortex is still undefeated, and he's facing B. If he wins that set, he's going to be at the top of the group. But this is a very scary position for Demu to be in. He is done with his matches, and his game differential is -2. Means that a convincing B victory actually eliminates Demu, something that he needs to be very cautious about. He was kind of the player I referred to when I said, look, some people are just sitting on the sidelines and hoping for the best outcome for them. So it's actually a blessing in many ways that Louis and Mista, at least for these two players, it's a blessing for them that they have their own fate within their own hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And so fun to watch these storylines where it's like, these other games are going to impact players in different groups. And really, there's no easy group. These guys are all super good. And like we've seen time and time again in the Age of Empires, you never know who's going to break through on any given weekend. There's players that can surprise you at any corner. Not to mention, we just had a balance patch this week. So players have had time to retune their strategies as they prepare for these finals. You can see the player stats here once again. They're very similar statistics according to the score sheet. I would say speed there at the end was like, man, if there was like an early game speed and late game speed, Louis' late game speed's at like an 11 out of 10. And that creativity, of course, coming into play in that last game, Mista picking some strange landmark there early on, but seemed like he was all calculated there leading up, but I don't know if he calculated that final push that was going to come there at the end. So we'll get ready here for game number 2 of this series, and we'll see what civilizations we're going to be paired up against. Ottomans and Jeanne d'Arc. So it's going to be fun on the Gorge.
Gorge, it is a map where you can do a lot of damage with an early aggression. There's only one gold mine to work with, realistically, for the players. Can be something that gets contested early on by the Ottomans, and this is, I feel, a really good matchup potentially for LoueMT. Ottomans, you can open with a military school, but you can also open with a barracks, and I feel like in this setup in particular, if you open with the barracks, go for spearman, you can push away Jean from the gold mine. And then what are the options for Mista? He needs to relocate to a different gold mine. And of course, that would essentially cause a lot of walking time for Jean, and that's basically not the best use for her in Dark Age. I feel like you can take away a lot of the early game efficiency of the Jeanne d'Arc faction by being very aggressive against that initial gold mine on Gorge.
Yep, absolutely. I would expect to see a tower rather early there on that gold mine if he hopes to protect that. But yeah, it'd probably be an aggressive game here out of Louis up against the Mista. And I know a lot of people have been terrorized by Joan of Arc, so I guess we'll see how is Louis able to handle this as we get ready, dive into game number 2 of the EGC finals. We've got TheMista playing Joan of Arc up against LoueMT playing as the Ottomans and we're on Gorge once again. So we've got all of your resources rather forward or to the side. You've got your wood behind you. Scout can't even sneak by there. So it's not a great map to be pinned down in there already. That military school coming down. So you're going to see some spearman action very, very quickly in this match.
I feel like it would have been more beneficial for Louis to play into barracks and spears, because you really want to hit Jean as she's out there to mine gold. And the military school takes some time to build a spearman. By the time that spearman arrives, it might be a little too late, but guess what? Mista, once again, taking that 10 out of 10 creativity score and opening in a fashion that's very uncommon for the French in general. Dark Age barracks. He knows that the spearmen are coming, and he's not only being the defender here, he's actually going to be the aggressor in many ways. Might be able to pressure this gold mine on the opposing side.
Yeah, and we've seen this particularly on a lot of the water maps where you see Ottomans picked and barracks and et cetera, et cetera. But one thing that's going to happen here is with that barracks, you can train spearmen faster than that military school is going to produce your free spearmen. So if you keep a constant flow of production, you can actually outnumber those Ottomans who are known for opening up, with those spearmen with that military school for free.
Yeah, the big thing here is that Mista needs to pay a full price for these spears, so he needs to find good value for them, whereas Louis gets them for free. However, it takes time for Louis to get those spears, and as you said, Mista could easily outnumber his opponent here, and if you can shut down the Dark Age here for the Ottomans, that could be very problematic indeed. First spearman now moving in here, Louis, he needs some more gold for feudal. He should be able to grab it, but this is exactly the value that Mista is looking for. Louis pulls away the villager just in time. This is going to be so annoying for him to deal with. And definitely some good value here for Mista, especially once the second spearman arrives.
I can't help but wonder, if this caught Louis by surprise, or if he expected maybe something like this could happen. I mean, he wasn't going to get a free pick off there on Joan of Arc's gold. So some shenanigans out of the Mista, nonetheless. You kind of expect this might be happening. very nice micro here from both players. Nothing has really died yet, just doing some damage. Louis able to, though, under all that pressure, still get the gold he needs to age up. So sometimes you wonder, what was the ultimate value of this? He is forcing Ottomans off of gold, and puts him a little bit in a defender's spot, and I guess alleviates the pressure from his side. So maybe, you know, that's the value, but unable to kill any villagers as you see Ottomans aging up.
I don't think Mista even expected to kill a villager here. That's just unrealistic with Dark Age Spearmen at the highest level. But there's more to this. It's not just about harassing that gold mine, because there's a follow-up to this. You can hit the stone mine and prevent the Ottomans from adding additional military schools, or at least very heavily delay them. There's also the element that if Louis wants to clean this up, he needs to start adding some archers, either with the military school or with the range. And that's great for Jeanne d'Arc, because Jeanne d'Arc ultimately wants to play knights. I feel like there's a lot more to this, because these spearmen can also shut down the stone. They take away the berries from LoueMT for the time being, and they do a great job confining Louis within his base.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Also, not a ton of room to expand. Like, if you're in a turtley position here and you're kind of surrounded, not a ton of room to throw down, you know, those Ottoman buildings that like to spread out so much. Not to mention, if you wanted to try to squeeze in farms or something, which, you know, he's not going to need for now. It gets to be a thing here as you get into a drawn-out feudal fight. So, what is this? Not, of course.
Hello? I mean, we always talk about Mista as the guy that brings in strategies that no one else does. But this is getting a little too much, folks. Chamber of Commerce with Jeanne d'Arc. Okay. I don't know what to say about this, but I have absolutely no idea what exactly could be on the mind of Mista with this.
Yeah, so yet again, we've got a gorge with trading going on. We see a barracks and archer range, as well as a blacksmith immediately drop down for Louis. Don't forget, for the Ottomans, those only cost 100 wood. It is a little bit cheaper. So this is a landmark for Joan of Arc, which maybe you haven't seen before. It's the same as the French, but basically with each tech you research, you get a free trader. Is it the exact same here with Joan of Arc?
I think so, but I would lie if I said that I've seen this landmark
I haven't seen anybody use it,
ever
honestly.
being used by Jeanne d'Arc. It's a first to me here.
Yeah.
And it's I'm very curious. Now, Mista and Recon in particular, they know each other very well. They discuss a lot of strategies together. And this kind of an approach is actually very reminiscent to what we've seen from Recon in the previous set on the same map.
Okay, so we will see some trading action going on. Mista will need to have map control because you see those neutral trade posts, they're in the middle of the map. So you've got to have a little bit of map control. Louis is going to try to set down a tower to protect this. We'll see if he's able to get it up. He should be able to. He's got some spearmen to defend. You hear that vizier point sounding off. Unfortunately, not in the UI, so you can guess at what he might be bringing in. We'll probably see here whether it's a meter, maybe not sure. What it'll be, could also be sheep as well. Yeah, that was sheep, I think. Looking at all those sheep, I think that's what he went for. Yep.
Yeah, he brought in the sheep. He's actually very confined in his base, and I'm not gonna lie, Mista is getting immense value for these spears. No second military school just yet from Louis. He has to make archers against the French, which is usually a big no-no. And now this tower is going to get pressured by Jeanne herself. Not much here for Louis to defend with against that.
Yep, here we go. Joan of Arc in there. Woman at arms protecting against those spearmen, or rather engaging them in battle. I'm so used to seeing knights with her. This is an infantry opening. This is kind of a start here first.
Yeah, it's going to get propelled for the time being. Sipahi now coming out as well. And this is something that Mista's going to have to deal with, though. Because once Sipahi start coming out, he simply won't have a safe trade. But I'm seeing a composition very reminiscent of English. Archers and spears. This was actually a composition that Mista used against Marine Lord on Himayama with the Jeanne d'Arc. He actually failed to break Marine Lord's defenses, though, with this same composition. Though, at that time, he used the School of Cavalry to age up.
Yep, okay, so Mista stays alive there with Joan. She's running around, and we got some traders out on the field starting to do their trade. Did Louis see this? I'm assuming he has scouted this at this point. You know, this trade is going on. I mean, seeing
Not so
the
sure.
knights.
Like, Yeah, I think now he definitely sees
Oh
it.
yeah,
But
he knows now.
I was about to touch on the fact that the only telling sign could be no knights from Mista. Because let's think about it this way. When you're facing the French, what is the landmark that you're expecting 10 out of 10 times? Especially when you face Jean d'Arc. It's a school of cavalry, right? So oftentimes players don't even scout the enemy because what is about to happen is mostly obvious. Guess what? That's not the case against Mista.
We've got more traders coming in. Looks like he's targeting that eastern trade post. The spearmen's out to protect as well as archers. And for right now, that gives him a little bit of an eco lead. But the Ottomans, they are getting online their military force. I think he's adding another military school back there, some free units. So going to be doing just fine getting his military options going.
I don't think this is a full commitment to trade, though. We've actually had some time last week to discuss this with some of the other people involved in, playing the game, costing the game, and such. And one of the things that Mista and Recon both love to do is fake trade. They bait you into thinking that you're trading, and that often causes an overcommitment from the opposing player into shutting that trade down. And look at what Mista is doing. Double racks, double stable, or double racks, double ranges. I think this is essentially a decoy trade, and Mista is going fully into spears and archers, trying to punish Louis, who is distracted by the trade.
Well, whether it's a decoy or what it is, he's getting resources from it, and he's getting his eco upgrade, so it's going to pay off here. Right now, the Sabahi being quite annoying. One spearman just came out of the barracks, could protect this, but he seems to not care. Look at that. These villagers, they don't even flinch.
Nope. It's just going to be like, I'm standing and fighting. And look at the numbers now. 10 spearmen, 12 archers. Archer numbers are not so good for Mista, though. And a problem that he's facing is that he's only up against 5 Sipahi, so he's got way too many spearmen and way too few archers.
Oh, that villager's dead. +5 for Joan of Arc.
Sipahi going to a very far away flank over there.
I think they're checking the left trade. I think, yeah, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's trying to see, like, our traders going this
Mista's
way, too?
definitely inducing a lot of paranoia here in his opponent when it comes to the trade. Again, this feels like just a decoy trade at this point.
Not to mention, like, seasons of trade being like, well, you've just lost if your opponent has trade because it's been so strong. And it has got dialed back a little bit. Honestly, probably the biggest thing on this map is just those trade posts being in the middle of the map compared to where his trade is. So it's not a massive value, but they are free traders he gets, well, mostly free that he gets with those techs.
Hear me out. That's the crazy thing. Maybe that's the mindset for Mista. He's saying, look, if there's any map where my opponent is 100% going to scout my trade, it's this one. And you get the traders for free, so this is no investment. You're getting a great decoy, and if you don't want to go for knights anyways, then this is exactly how you want to play this.
Okay, so we've got archers and spearmen accompanying Joan of Arc to the north side of the map. And we also got Spy coming in for a little raid. They're very, very good at raiding. Spy have a little bit extra range from your standard horsemen, which makes them very good at spearing down those villagers if they go in there. The sheep underneath the town center for Louis. How much is left there? It looks like he is tearing through that. So it'll be interesting as that moves. Well, he's still got quite a few. I don't know. Yeah, he's got quite a few sheep left. So able to give Ottoman a lot of turtle capabilities here.
Yeah, for now, army numbers are dead even, though, and that's something that's slowly starting to favor the Ottomans in this engagement. Especially when you look at the quality of the army. A lot of Sipahi now mixed in for Louis. He's got the mobility advantage. He almost has double the army value here, and he's finding a lot of good raids with these Sipahi.
Villagers doing what in the middle of the map? They're going to support their queen. Got to move back right now. Mista trying to take advantage of those deer in the middle. We've got just a few Sipahi positioning, but going to be back enough. He's got scout as well, so you can kind of see the composition. And then we got another raiding force of Sipahi here on the south side. Louis being very active on the map, and he's been able to get some nice raids out of it. You can see down in the bottom left.
I think he's realized that he's just being baited into a trade here. He's still raiding it because, it's free eco that you can pick off. But he definitely has shifted his focus towards the enemy villagers. He's ready to hunt. Now he's once again back on the wood line. And I think he's realizing that Mista just tried to use this as a decoy and just build up a massive horde of spearmen and archers. That's exactly what Mista is doing. 24 spears, or 26 spears, I should say. 24 archers for Mista. Not the ordinary unit composition that you most frequently see from the French.
Yeah. I'm loving this this decoy trade. They definitely brought something back, but okay, so we've got the deer in the middle is being protected right now by a lot. Yeah, this almost looks like an English army. Those archers and spears playing as the French. I think Joan of Arc is role playing the English right now. You see those consecrated buildings, by the way, there in base.
And looking at the resources, no one wants to go to Castle here, but Mista, he's getting ready for that would-be decisive push. Siege engineering on the way. On the opposing side, though, he's facing 21 Sipahi. He does have 30 spearmen, but you have the feeling that 30 Sipahi is no joke here, or 20 Sipahi, I should say. Especially if Louis is just holding those Sipahi back until he picks off some of the spears.
Until Joan of Arc swings that sword around, so we'll see. Going for that boar, gonna pick up some additional experience there. Losing a spearman. Whoops. Okay, so Louis positioning Sipahi all over the map. Gonna finally be taking that boar down. There it is, plus 25 experience. It used to be 50, so that got tiled down just a little bit in the patch this week. Mista with the standing army in the middle, protecting the villagers that are gathering there from the deer. And taking a look at the stock of the armies, 73 from Mista, 68 for Louis. Don't forget Jones in there as well. And then we also have a Metter on one side and some of these monks. So keep all of those factors in mind as Mista moving up to the northwest to go for that boar. Looks like he's going to try to wall it in as well.
Blacksmith upgrades are looking a little better here for Louis. And don't forget, like, he's getting all these units for free. So he's slowly stacking up some resources behind this. Of course, I love how Mist is moving up for the board, though. I think he needs an influx of resources. He's playing 1 TC only. So any kind of excess resources he can find, like, let's say, by taking the boar, is going to be very much welcome. It looks like we might be heading towards a decisive fight here, because eventually one of these two players will commit. And for a long time, it seemed like Mista was going to be the one committing. Now Louis might be sensing some blood in the water because he's diving deep. Jean in the crossfire in the middle of the field.
She might go down quite quickly here. There we go, battling an open field. Joan of Arc, low in HP, gets the heal off though just before going down. There won't be any of those sweeping attacks going on in this battle. A lot of archers taking the brunt of this attack though. The Sipahi poking, not to mention a nice mass of archers at the Ottomans. Mista kiting all the way back towards his base. He's gonna need to pull the villagers out of there as well. Those Sipahi just doing a good job, just pushing Mista back more and more. Joan of Arc is back on the battlefield and better than ever. 2 villagers caught in the crossfire. And as you see those imams continuing to handle out some healing, Joan of Arc tries to get in there and she does get an attack off. And the Ottoman army, it really looks like, is just completely destroying Joan of Arc.
The destroyed value is heavily in the favor of LoueMT now, and the Sipahi have been held back until many of the spears have been picked. Now Mista's army is just not on the par with the Ottomans. The Metter coming in clutch as well. Had that buff on the entire army for the entire fight, and that's a big difference maker here. Jean makes it to level 3, but just with a tiny bit of HP left, and no standing army around her. You feel like Mista's forces are just disappearing way too quickly here.
Yep, I really wonder what a few knights could have done in that battle. Louis didn't have any spears, I don't think, really. Down goes Joan of Arc, and man, right now Louis is just going to sit here and idle this French economy, and there you have it. Louis taking game number 2 once again, kind of like a decisive battle. He waits when he picks his fights, but when he does, you sure guess that he's run the calculations. His generals have decided it is time to go. Louis coming up 2-0 right now in this series.
This is what we have been touching on in regards to Mista multiple times in the past. he's always someone that brings out some unique strategies to kind of compensate for the fact that he doesn't have a lot of time to train. Some of these strategies work wonders. Some of these are complete flops. And here, what we have seen is a very unique approach to Jeanne d'Arc taken by Mista. Love the creativity, but it simply didn't work against a very classic brute force Ottoman play from Louis. Louis is
Mhm.
playing very classic standard age vampires, but it is something that's so well executed that it's able to take out all the weird shenanigans that we are seeing from Mista.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that Chamber of Commerce quite worked out there, but it is what it is as we get ready for game number 3 to be determined here. And my cat is eating my Christmas tree on my desk. Stop that. And we're going to be going to Hidden Valley next.
Hidden Valley. This is a map where I can see Byzantines being a thing. Mista opting to pick both of his home maps over here. So even if he wins this game, the remaining games in this series would be on the opponent's home map, Rocky River and Dry Arabia. No Byzantine bans on either side. Rus and Ottomans have been the civilizations taken away from Mista. LoueMT lost access to the Ayyubids and Jushi's legacy.
Yep. So we'll see what civs they decided to pull out here. Welcome for those of you tuning in here to the EGC finals. This is the group stage, and Louis on fire here for the start of this match. And going to game number 3. We'll see if he's able to put the kill in. Of course, both players deciding their own fate. So this is a great series for these players. Welcome. Good to see everybody in the chat. Thanks for supporting esports for Age of Empires 4. Don't forget to hit us with a sub or a dono, whatever it is. Support Pesty and EGC TV, making all of this wonderful stuff possible. Look at these graphics. Ooh.
So, plain and simple, again, we go back to this setup. The set victor of this particular set here, Mista or LoueMT, takes the second spot within his own respective group, and he is going to be the one facing off against Puppy Paw in the quarterfinals. The loser of this set will be eliminated. Marine Lord has already secured the first spot within his group. What a lovely series so far. It's not the conventional AoE 4 series, though, Fitz. It's something completely different. Right now, Louis has the upper hand, but you feel like Mista always brings in these weird strategies, and one of these must hit. At some point, he needs to find breakthrough with one of these weird games. I just feel like Mista might be taking his time a little too much. Every single game that we've seen so far, 2 out of 2, we had Mista sitting back and building things up a little too slowly, perhaps. And Louis just said at one point, okay, let's roll. And in both of these games, won with a single decisive engagement.
Yeah. And I also wonder, though, is he saving something for the later half of the series? You can't help but wonder. Draw out the best first.
Perhaps. You never know this. He still has a lot of civilizations, and he knew that he was going to play a best of 5. So there's always that chance that he's saving something for at least game number 3. Not so sure about game number 4 and 5, but when you know that you're playing a best of 5 and you're Mista, you probably bring in at least 3 strategies that are cheeky. And you're picking your own home maps, so you knew ahead of time what maps you will be playing if you lose. I feel like we are going to see something unique here once again from Mista. I don't know if that's going to work against this brute force prowess from LoueMT, by the way, who's actually getting very close to almost a career tournament at this point. He's only made it into the top 8 in 2 EGC tournaments before. Could be his 3rd appearance in the top 8.
And there it is. I told you we would see it. TheMista pulling out the Byzantines. You know, I'm a Byzantine enjoyer, so I'm always excited when we see this. Louis playing classic English on Hidden Valley. And I will tell you, having played this matchup recently, those longbows coming around and poking your wood on Hidden Valley is not very great because they can stand up on that cliff and shoot down at your villagers in the middle. But we'll see what Mista has in store here with the Byzantines. Of course, recently got some changes this week, and we'll see what he has been theory crafting.
I'm curious about this. I have no idea what to expect. Especially for Mista, I just cannot predict what's going to happen in this series. Let's take a look at the groups, though, for a brief moment, and of course, what sets we are going to have coming up right after this one. This is only the second set of the day, folks, as we'll take a look at the standings within the groups. Wham and Anatund will be battling it out in the upcoming set after this one. Of course, for Anatund to stay alive in this tournament, he needs a dominant win over Wham. The same Wham that is standing at 1-0 right now, having taken out Beastie already. And then we're going to wrap the day with Group D, Vortex versus B battling it out. It's not just a set that influences their positioning in a group, it's also a set that could easily eliminate Demu as well. So that group, wide open, and Demu right now sitting back home, hoping that Vortex is going to secure this series and allow him to get the second place within his group.
Well, and looking at this current matchup right now, Mista, he's got to win this. He's already down 2-0. This is it. This is his life right now for this tournament. And pulling out Byzantines, a bold move when you're looking at, possible elimination match. All I can say is I hope he took a shot of olive oil before this, because he's going to need all of the strength he can possibly get going into this game.
Oh, certainly, but he's going to have no shortage of olive oil going into this game specifically. He's going to have the Byzantines under his command. Countdown is now on the screen, folks. Just a couple of moments to go until game number 3 here. Louis doing a good job representing his brand new clan, Elephant, something that we haven't yet talked about. CSOH, the probably, up until this point, many probably would have said the strongest Chinese player, now probably the second strongest behind LoueMT, has actually founded a new clan, Elephant, and LoueMT is going to be one of the new members of this clan. So far, great debut for him in his new team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm probably gonna found the oil clan. Byzantine players only. You must have at least 100 Byzantine games in a row to join. It's gonna be the premier Byzantine clan of Age of Empires 4.
I would think that that's fine, as long as you do the proper tongue twister as the entry question for players that want to join.
What is that?
Okay. This is gonna be a blunder, but I'll try. Only royal, oily, royal oil boils.
Woo! Gotta put that in chat. I'm gonna try that one. Say, what was that? Man, Lidakor with a fast tongue here.
Someone does practice tongue twisters in his free time.
Only royal, oily, royal, oil boils. That's easy. That's easy. See, that's why I'm leading this clan. Easy. We got it. Lida spitting. Yeah, somebody mix that up into a song. There you go, right there. There's the sound bits you need. Coming up, top the charts in 2024.
All right, looks like game number 3 is ready, folks. Let's jump straight in. Match point for LoueMT here as we are heading into Hidden Valley to take a look at a Byzantines versus English matchup.
Okay, let's do this. Welcome to game number 3 of Louis versus TheMista. This is all part of the EGC finals. And, well, Mista, he's backed into a corner, pulling out the Byzantines. He has to win this game to stay alive in this tournament. So we'll see if he's got the tricks up his sleeve. But what is this that my eye spies? We've got an English barracks and some man-at-arms going to be coming out here within the Dark Age. So Mista already going to have his work cut out for him. I see he's putting several villagers on gold, so he expects this. He knows it's coming. This isn't going to be a trick for him, but unfortunately, Louis has taken a gamble, gone to the south side, and the gold has in fact spawned on the northeast side. This is what happens every time I try to dark age rush on this map, but sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. We'll get the stone though.
This is the big thing with this map. You have one main gold that spawns on one of these sides, either left or right. But with this specific build, the English Men-at-Arms, you have to blindly commit to it. If you want to get there in time, you need to go before you even scout the enemy base. So Louis just had to choose a side without knowing where Mista's gold mine spawns at, and as you said, he's not going to be able to hit the gold mine with the first Men-at-Arms. He is going to find a stone mine though, which is something that could be important for Mista, especially if Mista wants to play multiple town centers.
This is also a map where it appears there was a glitch in the system and they forgot to add sheep to it. So you'll very quickly run out of food at home. And when you're opening up with man-at-arms, you're spending even more of that food. So we'll see if the RNG gods have allowed him to get 2 or 3 sheep on this map. Sometimes you come up with just about nothing. But for right now, we've got, he might have to move up to that deer expansion or get those, maybe, I think his scout might just make it back to drop those sheep in time.
Yeah, you have a pack of deer right next to your town center, so that is something that will compensate for the lack of sheep. But
No wood,
especially
'cause he
with
spent
Louis'
it.
men-at-arms, he should start killing those deer so Mista cannot actually push them to the town center. They might be too close, though. He probably doesn't want to commit close to the TC.
He's pushed 1 deer out. Look
Yoink.
at him. Oh, now that right there is disrespectful. Look at this. He's pushing the deer of Louis all the way to the outside. Oh man, I thought we were gonna have a good clean fight here, but man, oh man, messing with the deer supply here early on, definitely gonna be hard for TheMista to deal with. Louis right now, just moving out to the gold there in base, and was able to get his sheep back, and there we go. We've got the Imperial Hippodrome coming out. The Byzantine School of Cavalry.
Oh, Triumph has underwent a significant series of changes in the recent patch, and that's something that will impact how Mista's gonna approach this. But knowing Mista and seeing him playing in some of his games before, I have the gut feeling that he wants to play second TC here. It's gonna be a Hippodrome, of course, but I feel like his go-to eventually is going to be a second TC. And I think part of this is shown by the fact that he went from mining camp on the stone. Of course, you could be spending your stone on cisterns as well, but especially given that now you start with more stone with the Byzantines, the fact that we are seeing a mining camp on the stone from Mista, and knowing that he likes to play 2 TCs with the Byzantines, I have the gut feeling that he wants to go for that.
I see some people in chat saying what I've also been told directly by Mista myself, that he is a grand winery enjoyer. He, and I quote, told me that the Hippodrome is, and here he is making it. But then he also, I think, turned around and said, well, of course, if it's the English, then you want to make the Hippodrome. So which one is it here, Mista? Open up with the Hippodrome, but I think it's the move against the English. You don't want to go too greedy. You're just going to get poked and prodded by longbows and man-at-arms.
Yeah, 2 men-at-arms so far, not finding much of a value for the investment here for Louis. At the end of the day, this won't really delay his feudal age timing, but these men-at-arms, they'll just be sad and disappointed going back home. Let's see what Mista is up to, though, because I think that's where things get very interesting. For the English, with the council hole, there is no major surprise. I'm more interested in what Mista is going to do here in this one. He's actually very heavy on the berries, but decided not to go up with the vineyards landmark. He is going to have some olive oil to work with, though.
Yep, and we'll see. We're going to be very, very quickly training out some horsemen. Of course, Triumph, it got nerfed a little bit, but you still get those tickets, and it's still quite good for going in there for a raid. Trying to raid underneath an English town center, a little harder than most. And you do see Louis actually taking advantage of those deer. His kind of has spawned here in the middle.
Yeah, that's actually a lovely spot for that deer to spawn. It's actually very nice and safe as long as your opponent doesn't have archers. And that's actually the case on the opposing side. Mista does have some horsemen coming out. First spearman is just now on the way for Louis. Of course, he's playing as the English, so he doesn't have access to spearmen in Dark Age. He could only start making them the moment he reached feudal.
Yeah, and you'll see right now he's adding in his archery range. And how many villagers does he have on his berries right now? Does he have a whole lot? He's got a few, so he's working on that olive oil. So going to be going for that. Which mercenary contract do you think he will choose against the English? My default in a lot of situations is typically I tend to lean towards the Keshik. Could see him go for the longbows or the javelin. I mean, honestly, it's TheMista. Who knows what he's gonna pick?
Gotta be javelins. It's gotta be javelins here. There is absolutely no point going for the longbows yourself. You're trying to fight fire with fire, but the javelins add an insane amount of value to the Byzantine army. And one thing that can be terrifying from the Byzantines is a combination of Limitani that's already hard to kill with longbows, supported by some javelin throwers. That's a combination that's difficult to beat.
We will see. Chat, put it in there. Which mercenary contract do you think TheMista's going to choose. I'm not certain it will be javelins, but we will see. Lidakor knows all, so I'm ready to be wrong. Right now, we've got Horseman out here running around, not able to get any raids. He's just kind of trolling the map. There's not a whole lot of room on this map to really dive in and get those raids that you want to a lot of times with these Horsemen.
Love the horse from Louis here. He knows that he doesn't want his opponent to run circles around him, especially with the Hippodrome as the landmark of choice. But I guess we are at the level where we will see that first mercenary company from Mista. And I think that's the eastern one, right? So it's gonna be Keshiks.
There you have it, the Keshiks, he believes. We forgot about the 4th or 5th option. He could go to the neutral trade, right? We could get, maybe there's some elephants in there, who knows?
I'm not against the Keshik now that he's adding some archers, although it's gonna be a little too light to the party. He's already facing a lot of spears. Personally, I would have found more value initially in the javelins, but I see his mindset. He's gonna be in command of a terrifying cavalry force, and it's something that Louis is gonna have to respect.
Yep, so we got Mista moving forward right now with his horsemen. Got a nice little mass there, some archers behind that to support. You can see those 3 spearmen will be the issue. Very, very nice micro, being careful there not to draw the fire of those spearmen. If he could get us around in those longbows, would be nice, but for now, it looks like he's going to pull back and stop that engagement. We'll have queued up back at home some Keshik, which of course is the like medium knight of the Mongols you're used to seeing, taking some damage from the longbows there. Also building a forward tower that will help expand that network so that he's able to have some additional attack speed, but we'll see what happens squaring off. I struggle in this matchup when they start to add in a bunch of man-at-arms. I see Louis is starting to add some man-at-arms, so the Mista will need to really keep these horsemen alive, keep those Keshik alive if you're going to be able to deal with those, since you don't really have a great direct counter to this man-at-arms in the second age.
For now, this army that Mista has is not something that Louis wants to or can fight against. He's gonna try to build a tower here. It's binged by both sides, and the villager could get caught by the archers.
Uses Triumph. Okay, this is a big fight for him right now. Triumph will see if it's able to do enough. He's going to be able to pick off a villager as it retreats. Does not get that tower up. The Keshik also as well. Healing on top of course, the Triumph that's going on. And this was a very, very nice fight for the Mista. When you're playing the English, this is the worst position you're going to be in. Don't get surrounded by those Byzantines. Draw this out. And man, look at this. Getting completely cleaned up by those horsemen and Keshik. And now, this is Mista's ballgame. Do what he wants to do.
Yeah, I was just about to say, look, this is not a force that Louis can fight against, so he should fall back at home and play a defensive game. I'm not sure if that would win him the game directly, but he definitely didn't have the army to fight off this cavalry in feudal, and now he lost all of his army, which is just so catastrophic for the English. So many times we see them being unable to remass after such a massive wave of casualties, essentially. Now Louis is only at 7 longbows. I just don't know where this game is supposed to be going for Louis at this point. He's confined into his base, his army is boring, he's on 1 TC, and Mista behind this, he's now starting to take over this game, heading out for those neutral resources, something that he's going to find massive value from.
Yep, and that's exactly it. Look at this. He's just cleaned up this army, 2 town centers on the way, and that's kind of with Byzantines, you just keep like, what, 1 or 2 villagers just on stone constantly. You add cisterns, or like, boom, let's add another town center in, and he's in a great spot. Louis invested in that Dark Age attack, which really didn't do a ton of value in the early game. If anything, delayed maybe some longbow spear pressure that he could have gotten out early, because it takes a while to get that first batch of olive oil, especially if you've got longbows coming out, poking your berries. He could have gone just straight to feudal, gone straight to pressuring some of his resources. But now the Byzantines, they're up and they're rolling, they're oiled up, and they're ready to party. I think Miss is going to be rolling through the rest of this.
He has 2 TCs as well, and I think that's a difference maker here. If this was a 1 TC versus 1 TC game, you could argue that the slip up from Mista could get Louis back in this game. But at this point, unless Louis starts to pressure Mista very heavily here, Mista will just take over the game off the back of a much better eco. But Louis simply cannot leave his base. He's got 3 spearmen. He's actually making men-at-arms, not spearmen. A weird choice, given how much cavalry he's facing.
Yeah, and there's going to be more Keshik coming out into the battlefield here soon, so like they're able to deal with his man-at-arms adequately, especially with Triumph. He's got time for Triumph, those tickets to come back in. And if we have a second, take a look at that landmark. I want to show you Triumph because they did rework that this week. So these tickets you see in the bottom of the screen, these add up over time because maybe some people haven't played Byzantines, and you get a ticket essentially, and each time that increases when you activate it, it's going to be giving all of those boosts that you're seeing there on the screen. So you get a maximum of 45 supply points. You start with less now, and they decrease the amount it is activated. But let's be honest, fights aren't lasting for like 2 minutes at a time. You don't need it to be that long. You need like, you know, a few seconds, 10 seconds. That's plenty for a lot of these engagements. We saw it in that last one.
Yeah, Louis wants to break out of his base. Now, if he had quite a few spearmen mixed in, I would say maybe he has a shot at this. Even then, I think Mista would just pick off the spears with the archers and then engage with the cavalry. But without any spearmen, this composition is just not suitable fighting this off. Men-at-arms don't have great damage output against cavalry, and in a prolonged fight, mass cavalry, especially Keshik plus horsemen with Triumph, is going to dominate the infantry. I feel like Louis needs way more spearmen.
Yeah, we're just gonna see more horsemen. We're gonna see more Keshik. You see those blacksmith upgrades coming in as well. I mean, he's just gonna keep them pinned down, and behind this 2 TC booming. You've got olive oil coming in passively as he's moved out to these berry sources. We're gonna have Louis gonna have to move to farming rather early on. Not the end of the world for the English. They're, you know, some of the best farmers in the game. But right now, Mista's got the space he needs for his Byzantines, and I'm sure he's feeling very, very good about this.
Yeah, he should be. He definitely should be, and this is his tournament life on the line here. He's still fighting to turn this around. And for the first time in this series, he really is in the driver's seat. He had great moments in the previous 2 games, but wasn't really able to finish. But now, a long game is massively favoring him. And I think this is a big difference between this game and the ones before. Here, Mista can afford to wait. In the previous games, he wasn't really able to afford such a thing.
We got a lot of man-arms moving now. 17 man-arms. They definitely, with some spears mixed in, can be damaging to a cavalry mass here. But Mista just has so many troops. I don't know. We'll see. If he's able to get a critical mass these man-arms, it could surprise you in one of these fights, because it's not like you can constantly produce Keshik, right? But we'll see if he tries to go for one of this, or is he just going to stay in his base. It looks like he's macroing for the next H for right now.
That could be an interesting move, especially because he would use the town center landmark, the King's Palace. And that would basically mean that he would be on par with Mista's town center count. He would be down by 13 eco though. I'm actually curious how his farming eco is looking like though, because that's going to be a big difference maker. He actually has farming eco set up, which is good for the longevity of his food eco. I feel like if Louis gets to Cost Later, especially if he does so ahead of Mista, this game could easily swing. Especially because once you get to Castle, men-at-arms will get the extra melee armor in the form of clad armor, and suddenly the enemy cavalry is way more ineffective against them than they are in feudal.
Did Louis ever scout that second TC? I see a unit running around. I think he did, but I almost wonder, like, is he fearful that Byzantine is going to go Imperial or Castle Age or something like that? But you would think he would know.
I think he
at this
should
point.
know. By this time, Mista would be in Castle if it wasn't for a second town center.
Yep, and we got the Golden Horn Tower coming down for the Mista. This will passively generate some mercenaries for the Mista. So it'll look like maybe go for a raid, but he's not going to go in there yet. He needs to wait for his upgrades. King's Palace coming in for Louis. So honestly, I would say Louis got himself a little bit of life here. He's been able to get a nice mass, keep Mista out of his base. He is going up with a town center landmark. Maybe he could do something here. We can surprise us.
You know, Louis is starting to run very low on gold here, but he's playing a very slow and methodical game. And we've seen this in all of the previous games. Louis is playing very slow and cautious, and then just punches you in the face once and wins the game. And he's actually managed to sneak out of his base without Mista noticing this. This could be nasty. This could be very nasty because he's going to have a bit of a head start with the upgrades. No longbow upgrades on the way though. That's actually something I'm disliking very heavily. Men-at-arms upgrades are good and important, but he needs that firepower from the longbows. Does a good job keeping track of Mista's cavalry with his own scout.
But I think he suspects something is going on here. I think he saw that scout. So this is going to get interesting here as he dives the Byzantines. Upgrades are not in quite yet, and the Byzantines, they'll get their upgrades very, very quickly thanks to those cisterns. He can flip around the switches on those. And there we go. Mista has spotted this. Let's see how this engagement goes. Trying to build a tower on the front line. Several villagers there. And there we go. Triumph has been activated. He's going to dive in there. This could be a decisive battle for this game. Lots and lots of archers. Mista right now just trying to pick off those spearmen's man-arms, though, staying alive. He doesn't really have crossbows to deal with those quite yet. And you can see they're surviving a lot of this fight. And yeah, look at this. Look at those man-arms. I told you, it's the crux of the Byzantines, especially in the earlier stages of this game. I think he was able... Oh, one villager did survive. But heavy casualties on the Byzantine side. And now look at this. Longbow's still alive. Now they've got those upgrades. And he's trying to take this out. Here comes our first cataphract. But there's still a few spearmen to deal with. So, not to mention, he can just sit there and camp that landmark.
Oh man, I mean, this fight was way better for Louis than what it should have been. Cataphract does a great job with the trample, but this is a very expensive unit over here. Having been taken out, the villager is still alive, still trying to finish this tower. Louis is going to have to bail on this, but given the circumstances, you really feel like this was as good as it gets for him. Has to bail on the tower, has to fall back, but with all those spearmen around, he was able to decimate Mista's cavalry. And now, he managed to equal things out in the army department. Big difference, though, between the players is that Louis is down by 18 eco. He wasn't able to punish Mista at all. He's mixing in men-at-arms once again. He won't really have a response to the cataphracts now.
And that's what I really wonder, though, is like, it kind of was a painful fight for Mista, but I feel like he can afford to bring these back. He's got some passive mercenaries coming in. He's got these upgrades hitting, and now he can start to push the English back. He still got his 2 TC. And I don't know. I feel like Mista maybe will just outmass him. Louis has fallen back, not going to lose the rest of the army, so that is a wise decision. But I don't know. I guess down on the very south side, he'll run out of some of this food inside of those walls he's constructed. Ooh, look at that one longbow being annoying there. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Louis his hope though was maybe to overwhelm, having bring the tower and everything. It looked like he was really planning on pushing further.
Yeah, I think that was the best case scenario for him. But at the very least, what he wanted is to break out of his base, and that he accomplished. He secured a second gold mine by the time the first one started running out. He actually has the relic lead right now, has one relic, and the second one is being brought back home. And he secures this little corner for extra wood, more importantly, a boar for himself. I feel like this is one of those moments where Louis is just gonna be like, okay, that might not have been the best fight of my life, but it's something that keeps me alive in this game, and we have seen this over and over again in this series. LoueMT staying alive, living to see another day, and then suddenly coming out with one counterpunch. Mista needs to finish these games if he wants to have any shot at this series.
Yep, absolutely. So it means a lot more for Mista. I really love that somebody in chat pointed out that the forest on the northeast side looks like a Geodude. The Pokemon, so if you're imaginative, you can see that as well. Look at him taking out that monk. Nice little snipe there. There it is, the Geodude. Somebody put some eyes on that thing. Oh, chat.
Mista doesn't have a consistent source of food. He actually went with berries and hunt so far. He still needs to make a farm transition. Whereas on the other side, Louis does have that, and that could be a good window for Louis to use. And Mista's heavy on Keshik and Cataphracts. On the other side, Louis is mixing in his own crossbows and spearmen. He stopped making longbows. It's gotta be a mix of like spears, crossbows, and men-at-arms. Something that could work fairly well against Mista's current composition.
Mista's macro is a little strange right now. He's got a lot of wood in the bank. He has not gotten to the level 5 cistern. I think he just dropped down another one, perhaps. It looks like some of that stone just got spent, unless that was for another one of these upgrades. But yeah, his macro is a little bit strange. I think he's just very, very active on the map right now, trying to get relics, trying to deny relics, trying not to lose cataphracts to some of these spearmen. Also, you see walls going up. Now, this could be interesting. Good intersection of walls here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Mista is trying to wall off this market, maybe even go for early trades, something that we've seen from him in game number
I think he's walling off that
1.
gold. That's like the only gold essentially. Like after the north
Yeah,
side.
that's great as well.
Yeah.
Double deposit. There's 12,000 gold out there. And it's also a market that's actually closer to Louis than the one on the other side.
This map most times after the beginning turns into Turtle Fest. It just really is, because it's really hard of like, what side do you fight on? And if you overcommit without like a ton of walls, you can get smacked at your base if their army's on the other side. So it gets really, really tricky. Louis continuing to gather up those relics. Looks like he has 3 relics, and Mista did get 2 of them. So that is what it is. We've got the olive oil, 1,000 olive oil in the bank right now. Whether he's going to spend that now or save it for the Imperial Age, I guess is yet to be determined. I think it'd be in his interest to have some golems probably in the short term. Might get Keshik, I don't know.
At this point, Mista is still very well set up. He does have all the cisterns, he has a lot of premium units in his army. Cataphracts, he's got mangonel towers defending his key resource deposits. He still needs to make an olive oil transition, or olive grove, I should say. But he does have a lot of olive oil banked up. He's walling off this flank as well. Look at the... What on earth are we looking at here? Just an absolute madness when it comes to walling.
Looks like a railroad track, and I don't know what's going on. Is he gonna get that? He's trying to cut him off. Cataphract caught between the
I think
spearmen.
Louis has the walls. I think Louis finished the walls on the front line. Oh my lord.
No, I think... I don't know who's winning this wall war. Mista throws a villager out there. Gonna take out that tower.
I lost track of those walls, Fitz. I just lost track of them. At the end of the day, it comes down to those gold deposits, not the market for Louis. But yeah, a bit of a positional warfare going on right now.
That was just a distraction there. That's a tactic. It even got our observer there today. That was just a distraction, Wololo, is what that is.
Yep, indeed, folks, if you're new to the game, that tactic is used very frequently because the opponent hears the Wololo and they get scared about it. They are concerned where it's happening. Are they going to lose units to it? So they have to look over it, and that's something that you can use as essentially an element of diversion.
Yeah. Almost as good as the diversion trade. Okay, here comes the cataphracts. We got archers and crossbows as well. Mista's army looking quite beefy, but both of these similar sizes, but I don't know. Cataphracts and Keshik gonna be quite strong in this composition. Not to mention looks like both players have a lot of their upgrades. So fighting on that tower, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Cataphracts charging through to the back line and going to instantly get back there, dealing out some damage, but also could become targets very quickly by those spearmen. But you can see Cataphracts able to do very nicely. Did he pop Triumph there? I don't know if I saw it.
I don't know, but the charge was just wonderful, breaking through the ranks of the archers here. LoueMT does have the Network of Castles buff here, and he picked off most of the Cataphracts and the crossbows. Those are very costly units to lose. And at the end of the day, I feel like this is just going to come down to an even trade. Mista's going to lose so many of his troops trying to push this. Army number is still neck and neck between these two.
I don't even know how even it is. Those Cataphracts are so expensive, and he had a lot of them. And they ultimately go down to like puny spearmen to kill like a few crossbows or what it is. I mean, the man-arms are expensive, but I think Louis is going to maybe hold this here. But you can see the destruction value there on the bottom. If you're comparing numbers. Looks like the walling war is still going on the western side of the map.
That's never gonna finish, folks. Yeah, at the end of the day, Mista was more effective at the destroyed value, but part of this comes from the fact that he just had so many premium units in his army. Those Cataphracts must have gotten a lot of value. He still has double the army value compared to his opponent. He's back to 11 Cataphracts. Louis is now starting to struggle here. He has to regroup. He needs a lot more spearmen to deal with all these Cataphracts. But he still has some map control. He still has a reasonable economy. He needs a long game here to be successful. Mista is still in a great position here. But we've seen this numerous times before. Mista looking like he's in a great spot, then Louis drags the game out and eventually turns it around.
Well, and for what it's worth, I thought in the early stages, Mista was in a pretty commanding position after some of those early feudal fights. Now this is a game that very much Louis could stand a chance in. In fact, is doing a very good job at that. Mista getting ready to go up to the Imperial Age if you look at his macro, and that's where Byzantines could really start to put this game to an end. Foreign engineering company coming in, so he's going to be able to train some nest of bees. Maybe it'll be a hoi hoi pow. We'll see what he goes for there. 18 villager working on that, and looks like he's building it towards the front line. Ooh, this is not good. Luckily, he's got mangonel towers. I don't know if it's luck, it's more skill. He knew those were coming. So this spearman actually will die pretty quickly to these towers. Yep, and there you have it.
It's just so sad that the spearman couldn't even get a single villager pick. Goes to show how powerful those mangonel towers can be. It's a great investment from Mista to make, and as you said, his position is still really good in this game. He's on the way to Imperial. Louis wants to go to Imperial himself, and both players are getting close to pop cap. Again, this is just getting so awkward here, and especially when we start getting to the stage of very limited openings on this map. In those engagements, English with the network of citadels and their imp upgrades, they are also terrifying. I feel like once we have both players in Imperial with most of their techs finished, I think it's actually starting to swing in the favor of the English.
Yeah, I think once again here, it's just going to come down to who controls their army the best, who has the composition, who moves into the right spot, especially on a map like this where positioning can mean everything. We see Nest of Bees currently be trained with olive oil, so getting some foreign engineering from distant lands, but there we go. Cataphracts getting a nice little raid there, stopping the wall, going to push on through.
Mista is also harassing in the middle. There's a big red blob in the middle. He actually is towering the wood line of his opponent, and now, probably for the first time in this game, Louis is starting to struggle for resources. He needs to wait until Imperial Age hits with this fight here, as elite upgrades are just now coming in for all the cavalry of Mista. Berkshire Pass only being built by 12 villagers feels way too few given the circumstances.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about something. They really nerfed the Imperial Age cataphracts. This ability has been taking quite a hit, so I don't know how much Mista has tried this out in the later stages of the game, but Louis there reaching the 4th age. This is just like a great timing for Mista to take this fight. He's got his cataphracts upgraded. Those spearmen you can see struggling to even kill them, and this is a nice engagement for him, but still just needs to buy himself time as he gets his upgrades. On the west side of the map, I also see an engagement going on near the gold, and that looks like it's going to be a few man-arms facing up against golems. And look, that's where he put his landmark. He wants to protect those 2 gold veins. Very smart idea.
He needs that gold vein. And he also needed protection to the north over here. He needed this position held. That's why he fought with a Castle Age army against an Imperial Age force. And given the circumstances, that fight was great. He took out most of the Byzantine elite cavalry, the cataphracts, and he did that with a Castle Age army.
I'm not sure how these cataphracts are going to work here in the later stages of this. Like, this is basically crossbows and spear. That's what we're seeing here. It's crossbow and spear. So it's going to be very costly to keep taking these fights. I mean, you can see he can brute force 3 right now. Maybe that's just his goal, to use these cataphracts to just keep punching a hole there. But I don't know how sustainable that'll be in the long run.
Louis is out of gold, so these units are still Castle Age troops because he doesn't have the gold to upgrade them. That could be the end of the story here for Louis. Lack of gold and the inability to upgrade the troops. So he's still fighting with a Castle Age force against an Imperial Age army.
That is pretty massive. Also got some hand cannoneers in there. Nest of Bees coming to the front line, starting to fire away. Doesn't have anything to really take out that keep, but cataphracts don't care. I don't even know if he's popped Triumph recently. I think he could do that. Sometimes you just forget about it in later stages every once in a while. Kind of a unique thing. But where's the Elephant Mercenaries at? Soon.
Now passive farming gold is in for Louis, plus he also secured these gold mines to the left side, but it's a little too late. He's actually missing the elite upgrade for the man-at-arms still, and his numbers are no longer there. He's down to 22 army against 64. Mista also with a huge resource bank. I feel like the lack of upgrades in that initial engagement set Mista up very well long term, because now he has momentum from raw numbers advantage.
Yeah, look at this. He's just moving through this wall. I wonder if he had finished that stone wall, how differently this could have gone. He was very, very, very close to finishing that originally. But now we see the horsemen flooding into the left. We got cataphracts on the right. Oh my gosh, the Byzantines are going to win this fight. Archers shooting in on those man-arms, but look at this. Yeah, that's gonna be the bigger problem. The horsemen.
Louis just doesn't have the numbers anymore, has to stretch his attention out on multiple fronts. He actually repels the attack here on this side. Network of Citadels just now coming in as an upgrade, but he now needs to deal with cavalry breaking into his eco. He has a consistent source of gold though, and that's not something to be underestimated. Whereas I'm actually wondering if Mista is starting to deplete his gold deposits, has to now commit very heavily to horsemen.
Spamming a lot of cataphracts as well earlier on. Certainly chewed through that. And Louis, he's got plenty of fight left in him. We haven't seen him tap out of anything yet here today, so I wouldn't count this egg till it's hatched.
Population is still looking so grim for Louis though. 170 against 200 steady. But he's surviving once again, and we've seen this before in the series.
To protect too. That'll stop the horseman raids if he finishes that stone wall. Yep. Mangonel's hitting the middle there. Yeah, he's gonna need some serious siege to take this out on the left side. Almost wonder if he will train this like one Hoi Pao to start working away on that landmark. He could, but you got this map really it wears players thin because you're fighting on multiple fronts for a long time.
And that's actually a factor to look at going deep into the series. Mista himself admitted that because he has limited time to practice, long series are things that he struggles with very badly. Attrition is a factor for him. Whereas for LoueMT, he's used to long sets here, so you gotta wonder, even if Mista wins this game, will he have enough stamina for game number 4 and 5?
Yep. Will he have the stamina? We've got Mista pushing in there with the horsemen, continuing to raid. You can see villager debts mounting on the English front. You see a large, it looks like massive English units on the east side. Mista still flowing through that wall. Lots of villagers there as well. Here we go, Royal Cannon. You might want to punch a hole through something else there. That's like a roundabout way to get to where his forces are going.
Yeah, he needs to open up new frontiers over here. He's doing a great job with these cavalry units, by the way. Not a single spearman out there from Louis to clean this up makes this a lot more painful than it should be. Spearmen are still costly troops, by the way. Now Louis has 1,700 gold per minute, but he doesn't have the elite upgrade on the spearmen.
There's that Triumph coming in. Just as that boiling oil finishes, will that keep go down? He's using that boiling oil to do some damage. Also has a spring gold. Could take out that cannon. Will this keep going down? Is this a pricey fight?
Oh my lord.
Oh, he holds it.
The keep has a bombard on it as well. It dished out a lot of punishment, and Mista just sent a wave of troops into absolute annihilation. Same thing on the other side, and look at the army count. LoueMT 79 against 53 of Mista. LoueMT 200 population against 180 from Mista. Did we just see a momentum swing, Fitz?
Oh my gosh. What is happening to my boy? The Byzantines were destined to win this one. But I don't know, Mista throwing units into these keeps ain't looking so good. It's about time. Chop through the middle. Hit him where it hurts, right in the farms. We'll see what happens.
I'm starting to get afraid here for Mista. This is his tournament life on the line. And now he's facing elite upgrades from Louis. Louis has been fighting with a lot of Castle Age troops still. It's just, it was ineffective fight still for Louis, yet Mista wasn't able to break through. Now with those elite upgrades coming in, it's going to get even more difficult for Mista.
But wait, just when you thought the Byzantines might be struggling a little bit, we've got a new player entering the battlefield. The Tower Elephant is on the way for the Mista. That's right, folks. We've got elephants, and they certainly can't lose as we see him hitting another big raid on those English forces. The Byzantines got plenty of fight left in them, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of Varangians being mixed in as well, supported by some Gulam, and not gonna lie, Varangians, they are no joke. Especially when you consider that they can make transport ships as well, which is something completely irrelevant on this map, but it makes them even more so fearsome.
Okay, so with that elephant, the entire battle has swayed towards the Mista. Varangian guards gonna be out here going toe-to-toe with the English man-arms. Wood could start to become a problem in the later stages, but the Eastern Front, it looks like Louis got that locked down, so not too big of a problem quite yet.
Look at Mista's gold income, though. He's out of gold, 600 gold per minute right now for him. And LoueMT still has a lot of gold that he can mine, and he has passive gold income as well from the farms. Now, Mista is setting up a trade here, but that takes some time to build up. And I would expect Louis to start considering the same, especially if this game ends up being very long.
Well, don't worry. He doesn't need gold. He can sell the olive oil. But no, he's going to spend it on elephants. He's not selling any olive oil here today. What is going to happen next? Mista is plotting something. He is definitely plotting something. I really wish we knew the stats of how many kills that Berkshire has had. He's killed so many horsemen. But he just keeps diving in there, killing more villagers. Look, 65 villager kills. Now, somebody told me that he doesn't have exploratories. Is that true? Does he really not have that upgrade? Can we please get a confirmation on that? That's got to be fake. There's no way.
He didn't get that in early feudal, that's for sure. But by this time, he should have explorators.
Okay,
he does
he's
have
got it. He's got it. Okay, yeah, I'm getting a little worried there. That's a lot of extra gold. Now, look at this. Now, we've seen this before. Louis likes to go for decisive sweeps. He's got rams ready to go. He's got the English army on standby, waiting from the call from the president. Going to be moving out here. Let's see if he's able to do it. Mista. There we go. Here comes
Mista's
Louis.
forces are split. He's got some of his troops on the left, some of the forces on the right. And this is a key position for Mista because of the market.
Okay, so Rams moving in right now. The English death ball marches towards the Byzantines. Do they have what it takes to stop it? Will the elephants be enough? I don't even know where that elephant is, but he'll want to get into position.
I think most of the forces of Mista are actually on the left side. He probably tried to make a breakthrough here, and then the timing is just so unfortunate for him because this counterattack is just now coming in. He only has horsemen over here to hold this position with.
Oh, there it is. There she is. Dumbo's ready to defend the Eastern Front. You can see trade was just starting to work, but not going to be alive for much longer. And I don't think that elephant will be either. Here comes the English army. Horsemen getting into position. Doesn't really have a great counter to those man-arms right now, quite honestly. We see the elephant trying to get involved in the action. Horsemen trying to get a flank, I think, on the spring. There we go. A little bit of triumph. But nah, this does not look like a very good fight for the Byzantines right now. Elephants going after the Rams, trying to take them down. Boiling oil, trying to defend as keeps. There are mangonel emplacements, so you got to think that's impacted this battle. Do not forget about those mangonel emplacements. But right now, we see the traders getting annihilated. Mista's army getting completely swept up, but down goes the keep. On the other end, though, you got a little force there, so this is a scrappy game.
Yeah, chaos all over the map now, but Louis is picking up momentum on this right side here. Army number is still favoring him. 200 population for him. Mista at 177, and Mista is desperate for gold. 1,600 gold per minute for Louis against 200 for Mista. That is the difference maker between these two players. Mista is no longer able to afford premium units, but he still has 50 Varangians on the field that he's yet to show.
I gotta say, those stacked defenses for the Byzantines have been adding a lot of unseen value in these fights. I mean, just that the area damage of each of those mangonel shots starts to add up over time, and he's been fighting underneath these keeps, under these towers, and Mista able to hold this fight, even having like no gold in the bank. Pretty crazy.
That is absolutely ludicrous. And Varangians are such a good choice in this setup. They don't cost as much gold as some of the other premium units do. And you have a lot of them on the field now, but is that enough against 75 English men-at-arms, especially when they can even fall back on top of these walls?
Well, and the other thing to consider, we've been talking about gold, 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 gold. The Byzantines, with their landmark, they can make the siege that they need to survive in order to push a siege with oil, right? He can get cannons, he can get nest of bees, he can do that all with olive oil, which helps him a little bit, but those man-arms are going to be the harder deal. How do you counter those directly without crossbows, without having the hand cannoneers? That's what is going to get really tough. These man-armed raids just really tough to deal with.
Yeah, Louis' villager count isn't spectacular right now, but this actually allows him to field a terrifying force. 74 men-at-arms, but more importantly, 31 hand cannoneers behind that. Now, this is not a composition that Mista can stand up against. The Varangians will just get eviscerated by the hand cannoneers.
I think he's been deleting vills. He's done this once before. Look at his army count. He's at pop max, sitting on 85 villagers. Here we go. We've got horsemen and Keshik and no cataphracts all diving in here trying to take this fight, but hand cannoneer is just going to be melting anything that's armored in this mass. Not sure how this fight's going to go. As you see the man-arms looking very strong. Look at those man-arms and hand cannoneers. This English army cannot be stopped.
Oh my lord, and Louis, once again, he does the thing. Survives long enough to see a counterattack succeed 3 times in a row, essentially.
Unbelievable. I mean, in the early stages of the game, Lou was in... It felt like he was on the ropes. It felt like he was in a hard position several times. But man, he sure has the stamina, I will say. Hand cannoneers under fire from the horsemen on the back line with triumph. There just seems to be nothing to stop the man-at-arms.
And Rams keep coming. The keep is gone. Rams now knocking on buildings. Mista is down to 32 army here, folks. 140 population. He's got a bunch of horsemen in queue, but that's it. His army numbers are crumbling, and he is going to tap out of this one. This is the end of the story for Mista here in the EGC finals. And what a ride it has been, Fitz. A lovely series played by Mista. Really, the final score does not do justice to how spectacular this series was.